You know, when we talk about our smartphones, we usually get caught up in the big stuff, right? The cameras, the screens, the brand name on the back. But today, we're going to look deeper, inside the phone, where a really fierce and kind of invisible battle is always raging. Because the real fight isn't just about Samsung versus Apple. Nope. It's a silicon showdown between these tiny, unbelievably powerful engines that make everything go. And believe me, that race just got a whole lot more interesting. So, in the world of high-end Android phones, this fight has pretty much always been between two heavyweights. You've got Qualcomm with their legendary Snapdragon chips, and then you've got Samsung fighting back with their own in-house Exynos series. And for years, I mean years, the story's been the same. Snapdragon has been the undisputed champ, the one to beat. And Exynos? Well, it's always been the ambitious contender, nipping at its heels, sometimes getting close, but never quite grabbing that top spot. But what if that whole story was about to get flipped on its head? Because a new piece of data just leaked, and it is sending some serious shockwaves through the tech world. It looks like the balance of power might actually be about to shift. What we're looking at is a leaked result from a benchmark test called Geekbench, and it's supposedly for Samsung's next big thing, the Exynos 2600. Now, Geekbench is basically like a stress test for a processor, measuring its raw power. And the numbers that just popped up for this new chip, well, they're making everybody sit up and pay attention. Let's break them down. Okay, first up, the single core score. And get ready for this, a massive 4,217. This number is a huge deal. It's all about how fast the chip handles one thing at a time, which translates to that snappy, responsive feel when you're just tapping around opening apps. And then, boom, the multi-core score hits 13,482. This one's about brute force, how well the chip juggles a ton of complex stuff at once. Think high-end gaming or editing video. So, okay, we've got these two big, impressive numbers, but what do they actually mean when we stack them up against the competition? All right, let's put these numbers under the microscope. It is time for a proper head-to-head. How does this rumored Exynos 2600 actually compare to its biggest rival, the next chip from Qualcomm? So, check this out. When we look at single-core speed, the leaks tell a pretty crazy story. The Exynos, at over 4,200, isn't just keeping up with the next Snapdragon. It's potentially leaving it in the dust. For the Android world, this would be a massive upset. And that trend just keeps on going when we look at the multi-core clash. Again, the Exynos seems to pull ahead, which suggests it could have way more raw horsepower for those really tough jobs. If these numbers are real, Samsung might finally beat Qualcomm at their own game. But there's another player we have to talk about. To really get the full picture, we can't just stay in the Android universe. For years, the undisputed king of mobile performance has been Apple. So how does this new Exynos contender measure up against the final boss? Okay, this table lays it all out. Now, look closely at that single-core column. The leaked Exynos score is right there, neck and neck with Apple's best. That is incredible. But then look over at the multi-core scores, and yeah, Apple is still the undisputed champion by a long shot. And just to make it super clear, think of it like this. Single-core performance is your phone's sprint speed. It's what makes everything feel fast and fluid. Multi-core is its heavy lifting strength for things like gaming. So for Samsung to even get into the same ballpark as Apple on that sprint speed, that's a huge statement. So all these numbers, all these charts, why should you actually care? What does this silicon showdown really mean for the phone you might be buying next year? Well, first off, it means the next big Samsung phone, probably the Galaxy S26, could be an absolute monster, maybe one of the fastest phones you can buy, period. But bigger picture, this kind of competition is fantastic for all of us. It forces everyone to get better, which means faster, more efficient phones for everybody. Samsung isn't just chasing Qualcomm anymore. They're looking straight at Apple. And all of this leads to one final, really exciting question. For the first time in what feels like forever, that performance crown seems like it's actually up for grabs. Now, we're going to have to wait and see if these leaks hold up, but one thing's for sure. The next generation of smartphones just got way more exciting.